a man came up to Jesus, knelt down before him, and said, "Lord, have pity on my son, who is a lunatic and suffers severely. Often he falls into fire and often into water. I brought him to your disciples, but they could not cure him." Jesus said in reply, "O faithless and perverse generation, how long will I be with you? How long will I endure you? Bring the boy here to me." Jesus rebuked him, and the demon came out of him, and from that hour the boy was cured. Then the disciples approached Jesus in private and said, "Why could we not drive it out?" He said to them, "Because of your little faith. Amen, I say to you, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Dear brothers and sisters, when we read the account of the visitation, we read the Gospel of St. Luke, and we hear him write, saying, "Mary went out in haste, she arose in haste, into the hill country of Judea, and stayed with Elizabeth for 3 months, and then went back home." I find this very proper because over here at CFL, it's a hill country, and you guys were here for almost 3 months. And you did exactly what Mary did. You strive to do what Mary did, serve. But this out of love for Jesus. And what's interesting is that for this World Youth Day that just happened last week, this was the theme: arise in haste, just like Mary. And this is what you did during these last months. You tried to always get up and serve Jesus because you were full of him. Yes, we are weak. Sometimes we would fall. We would not cooperate. We'd be cranky. We'd be, irritated because of the tiredness. We would get tired quite easily, especially towards the end of the fast. But you did it anyway. You're here today. And this love of God that we hear in today's first reading, where the Lord appeals to you saying, "Hear, O Israel, Shema Israel, Adonai Elohim." The Lord is God and the Lord alone. You tried to live it during these almost 3 months, just like Mary strove to live this love for God and for neighbor. You are called, as the Pope called all young people on Sunday, to radiate Jesus. Because it was the Feast of the Transfiguration, one of the things that Pope Francis meditated was, you young people are called to radiate. How? Jesus shone before the disciples, so you too are called to shine. How? Loving like Jesus loved. You're going to go back to your families, back to the places where you work, back to school, back to those people whom you live with. And you're called to love Jesus in them. And yes, sometimes it'll be really hard. Maybe you have families that are no longer practicing the faith. It'll be a challenge just to go to daily Mass, just to go to Mass on Sundays, to pray and not be mocked. Maybe you will go back to a university that is totally secularized, which is a militant atheist environment. And my brothers and sisters, maybe you will waver in your faith. Maybe you will start doubting. And even though you had a great experience, or almost a great experience here at CFL, you might end up not practicing anymore your Catholic faith. I just want to tell you that we want to pledge to pray one for another, never to judge you, and to always leave the door open, like Mary did. Before those men that crucified her son, she left the door open. And so too, we want to ask Our Lady to move our hearts, to have that openness, to bring all men to Christ, and to know and trust in God's mercy. So even if you fall, rise back up and bring what you won during this summer through your merits, through your sacrifices, into your lives.